Welcome to the Board of Select Persons meeting for Tuesday, November 19th. We're in person and hybrid Zoom. Tonight's agenda is the call to order and pledge of allegiance. We will have a public hearing on our governance policy. We have recognition of visitors for items not on the agenda. I know that of the people here, I think it's all on the agenda. We have managers and financial report, department reports, communications of Christmas in Poland. Under new business, we have food truck applications, generator grant acceptance, the library RFP, Stone Trust reallocation, RSU 16 facilitator letter, and a high school Dollar General crosswalk assessing business and payables. And with that, if we do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved at 7:01.
There's a second.
So the governance policy is on page 2. Nikki, you want to?
John DeSantis,
Yes.
Stan Tetman,
Yes.
Steve Robinson,
Yes.
Marianne Hawks,
Yes.
Lisa Albee.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, you have approved opening a public hearing on the governance policy. So there was only one change we made to the governance policy. We had brought it up at the last meeting we had, which was back in October. And it can be found on, I'm getting to the page and I apologize, should have had that marked. It is on page 15 of the governance policy, page 16 of the packet. And what we added in budgets is, however, no purchase or expenditure over $1,000, even if included in a budget, may be made without prior select board approval. Additionally, any donation, grant, or subsidy, no matter the amount, to any group, individual, or organization using raised and appropriated monies must be approved by the select board in advance. And this was in a direct response to our boards and committees pretty much doing donations to different things when they're using raised and appropriated tax money to do
Not
it.
that the donations are bad, but
Nope.
just so that they have visibility here at the select board.
Questions or comments?
No, that's just a good thing. It'll make it more transparent for the public to know where the money is going.
Since we're making revisions to this, can I suggest one more minor change?
Mhm.
Under active committees, can we add the new broadband committee?
What page is that? Or
It is page 16 of the governance policy, section F. Or, I'm sorry, page 6 of 16.
page 6?
F is on page, public hearing, sorry.
What was the section again, Marion?
Yeah.
So it is section 2, governmental positions, and then section F,
We can't
page
add it,
6.
yeah, we can't add it there only because it's not established by the town charter.
Ah.
So it has to have been an established committee from the town charter in order for it to be added as an active agency in our
Okay.
governance policy.
Good to know, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Move that we close the public hearing at 7:04.
Second. Thank you.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tetman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Marianne Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Albee.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved to close the public hearing at 7:04. I will take a motion to accept the amendment to the governance policy as presented.
So moved.
Second it.
Thank you, Stan.
Questions?
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none?
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tetman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Marianne Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Albee.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved the amendment to the governance policy.
So given our people in the agenda tonight, I'm thinking that we could advance, if the board is willing, to the Christmas in Poland communication on page 68 of the packet.
Check, I don't know if anybody does have anything that's not on the agenda, just to
Oh,
double check.
yeah, is there anybody here that's not here to talk about anything that's not on the agenda this evening? Okay, great. Would you ladies like to come up or
Sure.
just introduce yourselves? and-
Yes, we do have a little, presentation.
Oh, great.
I think it's gonna be up there.
Have a seat.
I'll let you can sit in the chairs
All right.
and just introduce yourselves
Okay.
to kick off. Would be great.
Yes.
I'm Christina Wilson. I'm the director of Christmas in Poland. I started 3 years ago, and I have two of my committee members here, Amy Laprell
I'm Amy
Yeah.
LaPro.
and Jenny Raby. And Amy has created a little
Just to keep us on
presentation
track.
for us. So we started 3 years ago, like I said.
Oh,
It has been a, what is wrong?
do we say advance the slide? Okay. I'm usually the one controlling it.
Oh dear.
So the dates for this year's event are December 7th and 8th. You can advance.
And this is our third annual event that we are having this year. And we have minimized it a little bit. Instead of like a 10-day event, we've brought it back down to 2 days.
Well, so here's a little story,
Oh, here's another story.
and you can advance.
Our journey all started with taking over the tree lighting ceremony. And the first year of the event, we created a committee and cultivated a relationship with St. Mary's. And we now have a 40-foot town tree that is there that we light each year.
And there were various activities throughout the day during our first event, culminating with the lighting of the tree once it got dark, like Festival of Trees, cookie decorating, Santa's workshop. And we had just lost our sweet angel Hallie Oldham, and her family was the one we asked them to light the tree the first year. So we have kind of like this cool box, and you flip the thing down and the tree turns on. It's nice. And so this is my event that I lead. It's called Santa's Workshop, and it's in the basement of the town hall, and it's transformed into a shopper's paradise. Entirely through donations, we're able to fill the basement of the town hall, and the first 2 years we've had 180 children come shopping for their families. Each year, completely free of charge. They can shop for up to 4 people, and there are volunteers. Mostly the teachers from Poland Community School will come over and they help the children shop, and then they wrap up all of their gifts for them, and they are sent on their way with a bag ready for Christmas.
Where do you get the gifts from?
Through donations and so through fundraising that we do. It's my goal, and why I signed on when Christina had the idea, was I wanted it to always be free for the children, like no matter what. If I've got to knock down doors, and so, reaching out to different community people, and when people clean out their basements, they donate stuff, and then I'm kind of a bargain hunter throughout the whole calendar year.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Year one, we had a parade that we created in Mechanic Falls, and that first year was a huge success in Mechanic Falls.
Oh, and so this is our little prop. So year 2,
and I can kind of pass this around. Your two, Christina, wrote a story and a book about the reason for the season and our story of kind of making Christmas in Poland magical for everybody. And my niece, who's actually in high school, illustrated the book. And she was 14 last year when she illustrated the book. And one of our goals was to have our own version of the Polar Express.
And we did.
And we did. So Mrs. Claus joined our ranks to help us out with this very special endeavor that we had. And then you can advance the slide.
So this was the Poland Express, which started with Mrs. Claus reading the story for everybody up at the Fairlawn Golf Course.
Yep.
Thank you. And then everybody boarded the trolley bound for the Magical Village that was all decorated by Christmas in Poland volunteers.
During the trip through the Magical Village, riders were treated to caroling, hot chocolate, and a souvenir to keep along with their golden ticket. This event allowed us to branch out of the downtown and bring exposure to other local businesses in other parts of downtown Poland. This little magical place that we went to is Empire Grove, and I actually have a cottage there, so they allowed us to go in and decorate all the cottages there.
We also added grown-up only activities during the second year. We had wreath making, that was a huge hit, along with paint and sip nights and ceramics painting.
Year two, we had the parade again in Mechanic Falls, and another big success, and people were able to,
I couldn't find a picture but all of the kids are dressed as reindeer in these little like barrel cars.
Oh, you can kind of see them
You
in
can
the
kind of
background.
see them like in the, but it was only a video that I found. I couldn't find a picture of just the kid. They're adorable. So this is kind of our schedule for this year. And something that I wanted to mention is that years 2 and now 3, we've partnered with the high school and their project graduation committee, and so they actually run the craft fair that's at the Poland Community School, and so it's a huge fundraiser for them, just to kind of get project graduation some more funding. And so this year we focused on packing most of the fun into one weekend, with Sunday being our family fun day. There will still be grown-up only events throughout the week before and after this weekend. And this year we are joining the holiday parade, which is held on Route 26 through Oxford Hills at the end of November. And it's called the Home for the Holidays, I think. Yep. And so this is our little tree that we kind of put together last year for the Festival of Trees. And so a few hopes and dreams as we move forward through our years. We would love to have the town office and or the select board sponsor a tree for our Festival of Trees. This year the rec department is doing a Camp Connor tree, and the before and after school care is also putting together a tree. We also accept volunteers at most of our events if you are looking for a way to get more involved. And we will close out by saying that our ultimate dream is to someday be able to have our own parade right here in the heart of Poland.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming in. So
Yes, thank you so much.
just to close, I think, on that is, let's move on the agenda to our food truck applications. And we just need to read each one of them, correct?
There are 7 of them here tonight, and they're all for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, they'll be here from 2 to 7. Sunday, the 8th, they will be here from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The information is all here, and we can just accept them all together as one group, all 7 applications.
Okay.
Okay, so what do we need, the applicant's name in the business or just the business?
No, you can just say as presented, the 7 as presented
Oh.
tonight.
Okay, well, I would move that we accept all the mobile vendor license applications for the Christmas and Poland weekend.
You have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Any other discussion?
And
That's
the
great.
only,
Curious to see what
the only
they
thing I'm gonna amend that to say is that because it is a town of Poland sponsored event, there is no mobile vendor fee for them for the weekend. We do not charge the fee for them.
Did that last year, okay.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tetman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Albee.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, you have approved all 7 of the applications as presented for the mobile vendor license for December 7th and December 8th on town property.
Is there anything else in regards to Christmas to Poland that we need to talk about?
I don't,
I don't think so.
yeah, I don't believe
Do
so,
you
but
guys have any
Excellent.
questions for us while we're here?
No,
No.
it's,
Who do I
it's already
contact?
been a great hit and looking forward to the new year.
Who do I contact to donate things?
that you can contact myself or to Scott.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks you, thank you for taking the time to do all this.
Yeah.
Yes, no,
Thank you.
it's so much fun.
And we hope that you guys will all join us, because it's, Friday night is lots of fun. Saturday night, sorry, is a lot of fun. We've got the food trucks and local,
Chorus.
and the
Band.
band, and we have fire pits and all of the stuff. So, and Festival of Trees is going to be 2 nights, this year. So it used to just be 1, so it's 2 this year, so we'll start off with that.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Do you 3 sing
Looking forward to it.
as well?
Oh, we don't sing.
No.
We decorate.
We do
Lots of other things, lots of other things.
and we also take care of all the decorating that's done around.
Right around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Good night, folks. Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
So I'd like to propose that we go to page 86 in our packet, which is the RSU 16 facilitator letter. Do you want me to talk about it, or?
We tried.
86, so there we go.
Nope.
So this is a response to your earlier question, Steve, about taking a look at the local share formula. Amy Hedinger, the school superintendent, sent out a letter that details how this would move forward. She asks for 2 select board volunteers and 1 RSU 16 director volunteer from Poland to be part of that group, and we're very fortunate to have Emily here with us tonight.
I'm here just to represent the board, not because I am able to take that task on. I
Okay.
did think that all of the 5 board members were going to be here tonight, but
Okay.
I am here and I
Thank
will
you.
pass along any information.
Do you happen to know any of the other 4 that are willing to raise their hand?
I was hoping maybe Christina, I'm not sure, I can't speak for her, obviously, and I don't know if Randy would potentially, I don't actually know. I mean, I think reaching out to each one of them individually, I'm on like 3 extra subcommittees for the
No,
school board right now,
it's-
it would be very difficult.
That's fine, and that's why I wanted to reach out as we did, because we didn't know. And I
Right.
don't want to speak for people that aren't here. So that's,
I've got 2 questions. First, I don't remember what we talked about last time. I think this was gonna go into February. It's gonna start after the first of the year and go in February or March or something.
I can find you the schedule if it's not.
Oops, I didn't.
I don't think it's on the.
it's not in the letter, so.
Yeah.
We do not know what the,
My sense was that Amy was just trying to get together the group, and it probably at the same time as, she's gotta get the group together before you can say, here's when the first meeting's gonna be, because you've gotta get that that those people coalesced and ready to go. But,
I don't think, yeah, dates have not been chosen. I do think that there's kind of a general outline of, I believe it's like 3 meetings. If you gave me a couple of minutes, I could look, but I don't know if that's really relevant at the
Yeah.
moment. But
Makes sense.
but for the purposes of this evening, if the board wants to decide amongst the 5 of you who would represent on that committee, or if you want to have a chance to think about it, that's fine too. When we reached out to Emily and the other directors, I don't think they're all checking their email perhaps, because it's on a RSU 16 address, but you were kind enough to respond, and one other person did. So I think as this gets a little more visibility, we'll see more interaction with the other directors and see what they think.
We're gonna be appointing the committee representative, is that correct?
Two of
you'll,
us.
so you'll, 2 of you,
You.
2 of the select board members,
But do we
And then
appoint the
one-
school board?
Yeah,
Yes.
and we have to appoint the school board.
Because I'm wondering if, at this point, if we can, and I didn't know what the schedule was, if we can wait till the next meeting so we can get in touch with the other members of the school board.
I
Because you
think,
don't wanna name somebody and then have them
Yeah.
say no.
Yeah, they've got to say yes, it's be unfair to just.
Yeah,
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
right, I do think that it would be very helpful if you could identify which 2 of you, I do think that they've received that from the other 2 towns.
Right.
So, I
I
don't
think
know
they-
that the
I
other
think
2
they've-
towns have
I-
chosen their board member, I don't know.
I believe, I saw that Mechanic Falls had in the
And
newspaper,
I think mine it did too.
and mine it
Yeah,
also,
did.
so, again, we were hoping to at least have somebody raise their hand in response to, they couldn't make it, but they're willing to volunteer or whatever, because they knew the thing or whatever. In short of that, I hesitate about delaying for another,
Well, but we
2
could, we
weeks.
can't name the school board member.
correct. I'm just trying to think of the way that we could,
I know we don't have a schedule, but Emily, any idea on day of the week that it could
No, I
potentially
think
be
that
on?
probably the committee could determine that together.
Okay.
So as far as a time frame, you know, I mean, if I was gonna say yes, I'd be interested, I'd have to know the time frame because I'm away for a few weeks. I'll be joining our meetings on Zoom while I'm gone.
yeah, I don't know the meeting logistics. If they're gonna even be able to maybe support the Zoom thing or not in
Okay.
the meeting things.
This is what we have from Susan Bowden. Review data and information pertaining to sharing of costs within the region. Pertinent information may include, but is not limited to, a description of the region's cost sharing method, the elements involved in the calculation of each municipality's costs and current and historic distribution of costs in the region. These are her costs, sorry, so I'm just gonna go through, she's estimating 10 hours for that. At the first meeting, review and present data and information pertaining to the sharing of costs. That she's estimating 4 hours, so there's 1 meeting. Solicit and prepare a balanced summary of the concerns of municipal officials, educators, and the public about the current method of cost sharing. And then develop a plan, and then present the plan. So depending on how many meetings each one of those tasks takes, I mean, I would say 1 meeting for the first one, and then 2 for each of the additional items, being generous, I guess, that would be 6 to 8 meetings total.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
That's gonna be at least a couple of months, I think you did, at least.
Yeah, so that'll
And that'll be a
probably
pretty
start in
aggressive meeting
January or
schedule.
something and go through till March or something like that.
Seems reasonable.
I know they wanna put it, I believe, on the June ballot, so it'll probably be concluded by April at the latest, most likely,
Yeah,
so it
so
can be
sometime
ready for the
in
June
March,
ballot.
Okay.
I think that was the
I think
plan.
that sounds
Yeah,
reasonable,
that-
yeah.
So the only thing we'll end up having is any of our budget meetings, but we can coordinate around that particular issue, I think.
Mhm.
And obviously our regular scheduled Tuesday meetings and the school board meetings and whatever, we'll have, there's always gonna be some conflicts,
So
but,
you get Sunday afternoon between 3 and 4.
So we're
Um,
looking for volunteers.
Yes.
yeah, so let's start with us and then we'll
I'd like to
discuss them,
volunteer.
okay?
I would love to. I'm just concerned that my schedule is almost every weeknight is full. So
Yeah.
pretty much Mondays would be the only day, and there's select board meetings and committee meetings with the school board. But, I mean, I'd be happy to, but it will depend on the timing.
Right. And I don't know if these are gonna be evening meetings or
Hmm.
daytime meetings.
If they're daytime meetings.
Yeah. I think it's probably gonna come down to the facilitator and then the will of the group.
Mm.
So that's
Well,
my
then-
only caveat because I work a full-time job.
Yeah, and I would imagine they're gonna end up being evening meetings because I feel like that's going to be.
I would
Do
think
you know
so,
if they'll be in
because most of
person or remote, like Zoom?
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I feel like if that was something that would help, then that is probably something that could be offered.
You know, another option is, since there seems to be some question of, people are obviously willing to be on the committee, but it's timing, days of the week, how many meetings and the just general time frame of the year that would be occurring, that if you want, I can go back to Amy and say, hey, do you have a sense for this?
Yeah.
And try to get, you know, I think she's trying to get her arms around it just like we are. And maybe she can give us some insight and then come back at the next meeting with that. And I can also re-engage with the RSU directors from Poland, just remind them, hey, we're looking for one of them to be part of this, and see if we can wrap this up at the next meeting, if that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, if the meetings aren't gonna start until after the new year, then I guess the 2 weeks probably doesn't matter a whole lot, even though the other towns have made the commitment, if that's what the realistic schedule is, and most likely is, where you get Thanksgiving coming up and then you'll have Christmas coming up. You might get an organizing meeting early mid-December, but then you're probably gonna delay yourself until after the holidays. So,
Yeah.
is that the consensus to
Yeah.
delay?
Yeah,
And-
because
We
the
need
only
to
other
know a
thing-
schedule.
Yeah, because the only other thing you could do is kind of pick 2 people who are willing to do it and have somebody as an alternate if their schedules don't, you know, don't allow the 2 we choose. But at that point, I would say we wait till the first meeting in December.
I was gonna say just pick 2 and have 3 alternates. Got it covered.
Yeah, I think starting somewhere would be helpful. I mean, having Lisa volunteered at this point, and then if there's somebody else who feels like, you know, like for instance, Mary Ann, if you were able to make it work, and then just have that be flexible, if after you hear back from Amy on the timing, if that's not gonna work, then, you know, the 3 of you could discuss that amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, where I'm now recently retired, then I was gonna say I could step forward if that's, all depending on how the rest of you
Could
all
I-
felt or whatever.
I was gonna volunteer you.
I'd already spoken about volunteering.
So,
I didn't know if you were interested.
Yeah, I mean, I would know the schedule. We'd have a solid schedule first before I make a commitment. I don't wanna make a commitment and then we can't. And I don't know about having an alternate, then that person would have to explain to the next person.
Well, no, this would be that once the schedule is
Comes
set up
out,
and
right.
they know what's going on, and all of a
Like
sudden
a
Lisa
virtual.
says it's
Oh, okay.
gonna be during the day, so she can't go because it's during the day.
Gotcha.
Now, we just have
a
somebody
fill-in.
else
Okay,
who's just gonna take the place, it's not gonna be 2 different people
gotcha.
going
Okay.
on. No, I'd make a motion that we appoint Steve and Lisa, pending what the schedule might be, we may have to change it.
Can I second that?
No, you should not.
I'll second.
Thank you. And then we
And then
will
an alternate.
plan on, I'm certainly open to that, or we can deal with, well, I don't know if we'll get any information in the next 2 weeks from them
From Amy?
from Amy or anything else,
I
maybe?
think, I think Amy could probably let you know tomorrow if you had a specific question. I feel like she would, I
Yeah,
think they're
she's
very
responsive.
motivated to get this going
Yeah.
and she's very responsive, so.
So why don't you let me
So, yeah,
talk
why don't
to
we,
Amy
why don't
in
we
the
do
next
that,
meeting?
and then at our next board meeting on December
Third,
3rd, we will appoint the director from the 5, and if we need to have an alternate because we found something in the schedule that was
Yeah.
Yeah, that
contradictory
makes
to
sense.
what
Okay.
our meetings is, we'll change our membership at that point.
and I'll reach out to the RSU directors again to just remind them of that. And
So maybe if you could find out if they have any idea of a schedule,
Yes.
whether, you know, daytime, evening, approximately how long, and also if there's a possibility of having a Zoom capability, because that may make
Sure.
a difference too.
Sure, absolutely.
So we just need to vote for what we did,
Yep, John DeSantis,
Yes,
Stan Tettenman,
Yes.
Steve Robinson,
abstain.
Diane Hawk,
Yes.
Lisa Alvey.
Abstained.
The vote of 3-0 with 2 abstains. You have elected Lisa Alvey and Steve Robinson as the Board of Select Persons to be on the, what is this called? I'm looking at it. The RSU
Cost
16
sharing
cost
committee.
sharing.
Emily, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the library RFP.
Okay. This is, finally get. So we're, really happy to be here at this point with the library project. We've got a group of very avid supporters here with us tonight. We have Mike and Toby, our architectural team. In the packet, you see the bid advertisement. We're using a bidding service that Mike is engaging to get a wider, cast a wider net for contractors. The plan is to send this out, once the board approves it. Have a site walkthrough and a pre-bid meeting at the library on the 5th of December, starting at 10 for the site walkthrough, and then the pre-bid at 11 to answer questions by contractors and let them understand what the project entails. December 19th, the bids would be returned to Mike, who would then use the intervening weeks to sift through those bids and see which one is gonna be the most advantageous to the town, and then come back to the town on the 21st of January, which is the second select board meeting in January, with a recommendation as to the contractor. We don't wanna go past the 21st of January, because we're gonna be running a little bit fast to get bonded into the main bond bank on the 5th of February, and there are just a couple of steps that we need to do, nothing impossible to do that. The design that Zach is showing us all on the screen is the same design that everybody worked so hard on, these people right back here, for quite some time now, and Mike, of course, has been really working pretty hard on it. It remains essentially unchanged from what you have seen before, with the exception that Mike has been able to look at several construction methods and materials that would reduce the cost of the project. And so that would be a good thing, but we wanna get this thing out, see where we stand with contractors, and then get this project off the ground.
That's great. And I want to, I think we all do, want to thank you for all of your hard work. It's not been a short project for you, and it's had revisions or whatever, and everybody that's been part of the committee, you guys have just done a great job, and we really appreciate your diligence and your efforts.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of questions, because couldn't understand it from the plans. In the original concept that you had a covered walkway
Yep.
going in, is that,
Yeah, if you look at the drawing up there, Matt can probably point to it.
Yeah, so this is the covered walkway right here.
okay, I couldn't
that's-
tell if it was covered from looking at it, okay.
Yeah.
And in some of the other elevations that you'll see later in the drawings that are in the packet, this is for the people at home too, you'll see that walkway that Mike has put in there. We've retained that feature.
The second thing I know we had talked about that we didn't know because of possible costs, was a restroom in the basement. Is
Yeah.
that figured in? And then the third thing I was wondering was, we were talking about a ventilation system in the basement, but again, we didn't know because of cost. So is the bid designed to say, okay, these are things that we'd like, but these are the things that we may have to eliminate so that we don't run into a change problem or something
Yeah.
like that?
So, and a lot of this came from working with our mechanical engineer, Bennett Engineering, when we were doing the cost cutting, and we went with their recommendations on that. So, to ventilate the entire building, the existing building and the new building would have taken more than half of our entire budget. So we will not be ventilating the existing building. We will be ventilating the new portion of the building as well as the revamped entry, because we're required by code to ventilate that. So what we're doing, rather than get into add alts, which would be very confusing because of the existing nature of the building, with a new building, it's easier to take that kind of approach. Like, and for those people that aren't familiar with the add alternate process, what you would do is you would say, here's our base bid, how much would it cost to add this component or deduct this component? Again, in a new building, that's not so complicated to do because there are not a lot of unknowns. But on a building like this, where once we actually start getting into the existing building, we're not sure what that could be. So we are, at this point, we're ventilating the new portion of the building, but we're not ventilating the existing portion. However, we are including duct chases so that in the future, if we come in with additional funding, which Matt would talk about more than I, we won't be starting from scratch with ventilating. So we've kind of wrapped that up a little bit. I've been talking with the mechanical engineer about what's the best way to deal with the ventilation issue. And that's kind of what we came up with in a way that we can still get this thing out to bid. I feel like I'm getting wordy at this point. Did that answer your question? Yeah.
It gives
And there was a third? There was a third?
Well, three
Oh,
things,
and
just
the-
the
unfortunately,
Third.
the cover on the walkway, the ventilation, and the downstairs bathroom.
And the restroom also, we thought, what's the big deal? Add a restroom in the basement as well. As it turns out, it is a big deal from the mechanical engineer, the plumbing engineer's perspective, because of the fact that we're pumping waste up. So in other words, and on the first floor, gravity can take waste and bring it down to the pipe. But that brings it out to the septic system. But below grade, we would need to pump that waste up. And additionally, we would need a backup system in case the first system failed. So we were looking at what, I think Will quoted us about $65,000 for that downstairs basement. And so, but I will say, he quoted this during the pandemic with inflated everything and the difficulty in getting equipment from China. So that number may have gone down, but it is still a significant number to do that work. We had considered putting the infrastructure in place, but just not installing the components of that. But when we started, we got very concerned about the budget just because everything got a little chaotic. In between inflation, pandemic issues, the ability to get things. So that was one of the things that we pulled out in order to take a big chunk of money out of the budget we were working with.
All right, so you can't even pre-plumb then, like, for future?
We potentially might be able to. The other complicating factor is that we would be going through the existing foundation wall, which adds other complicating factors as well. So we just made the decision to not address that.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say one other thing, and the estimate numbers were very rough estimate numbers. So we don't really have a handle on what it would be without taking a much closer look at the whole system.
Is you covered walkway?
Yeah.
It covered a walkway in which we tried to make not look like an accessible entry, but it actually is an ADA accessible entry.
Is that bad?
Yeah, you're looking at, this is a building section on the lower right. This is as if you took a giant saw and cut through the building. And so you can see the lobby looking out towards the park, those 3 windows on the left. That would be it's the same way you enter the building now, but we're making it a little more generous, and we're opening it up, and we're providing those windows to provide visual access to the park, because the design, in working with the design team, that was one of the elements that they thought could be improved on the library, is that it's not a welcoming environment right now. And then when we learned that the town park was going in, that just is a great opportunity to tie this building to the park visually, but also you can then plan events that work with both buildings as well, and kind of create, synergy between that. And then the same thing happens in the children's room, looking towards this direction to try to visually tie the library, rather than being the kind of island that it is over there now, to tie it into the town center. And when you come down to the ramp, you can't really see it in these drawings, but at the base of the ramp, you'll end up with kind of a view in that area and a bench as well. So we're trying to make these connections. And these are all ideas that came to me because from people that use the library and care about the library.
That's good. Other
No,
questions or comments? Okay, so I guess we can get down to the meat and potatoes of actually authorizing the RFP to go out.
Yes, please.
I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I move that we authorize sending out the library RFP.
Second?
Thank you. Further discussion, questions?
John DeSantis,
Yes.
Stan Tettenman,
Yes.
Steve Robinson,
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks,
Yes.
Lisa Elby.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved sending out the library RFP. That is great news.
Yes,
I'm
it is.
excited.
Finally.
Good news.
Thanks for your hard work to get us here.
Yes.
All very nice folks.
It's really great. We're looking forward to
Yeah.
getting the bids back and seeing how it all continues to
Yeah.
fit and does. You know, we know that we've got the park going underway, and I do think that it's gonna be a huge step in the whole municipal location and site as it all develops itself or whatever. The only problem we're gonna have, since I worked the election and was out back parking, is when we have a park, we're not gonna be able to use all that space to park. So I'm really not sure how we're gonna get everybody in to be able to vote, but then we'll figure that out in
Matt will
future
figure it
years.
It's a
Matt
good
can
problem.
figure it out.
It is a good
Love how you,
Valet service.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
Love
all
how
of
you
you
did that.
for
That was
your
great.
time in working on this and
Thank you.
helping them put this together.
Welcome back on the 21st of January to,
Yeah, I'll send an update before then, just to remind everybody and let them know where we are. But thanks for coming out tonight. It was great to have the support.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, folks.
Great job blending that. The
Thank you,
windows
Mike and
the
Tony.
Scenery, I love that.
Thank you.
That's great.
This is the.
No,
I know about
that's-
making buildings.
Yeah, but I mean, you've already had it drawn out, and then you get the input, and then you let it flow, that's great.
Yeah,
Love that.
it's a really nice project. I mean, I really enjoyed working on it for a number of reasons. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Good night, everyone. Don't forget your jacket, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Who's first?
We're getting.
First.
Get that
Do
first.
you want to talk about the trust next, or close that, or we can do it just having?
We can do, sure.
So we'll actually take up on page 85, the Stone Trust reallocation.
Oh, I better get to the line here.
I didn't have to do that much.
Needs a lot.
So this is
It's in the.
part of paying for the library.
Yeah.
It's the use of the Stone Trust funds. Earlier, the select board authorized up to $60,000 in Stone Trust, from the Stone Trust, to be used for the purchase of new remodeled book stacks for the library. We recommend modifying this authorization to allow for the entire amount of funds in the Stone Trust to be used to help fund the library expansion. There is $70,549.28 in the Stone Trust. When I checked it last, this would make up the $60,000 for book stacks from the anticipated $750,000 in congressionally directed spending funds. So we're not gonna lose that opportunity to buy those book stacks, we're just gonna push that later on, which, to be honest with you, is probably a better way to pay for that, because we're gonna buy those book stacks when the library is ready to receive them. And this puts a little bit more money into the total amount of cash we'll have on hand to pay for the library expansion.
What other
Question.
uses has the Stone Trust, has that been used for in the past?
Yeah, so Irene Stone donated some money. I think it started out as, I think it was $100,000. Very generous, wonderful donation for maintenance and repair on the library. And we've used a little bit of that over time, but think that the use of these funds now, the bulk of them, would allow us to really put some more cash in our wallet when we do this. The other thing we've done is that's how we've paid the architect and engineers up to now. So that's where that money's been coming from.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
No?
I move that we approve utilizing the remaining balance of the Stone Trust Fund of $70,549.28 toward the library project.
I'm gonna just amend that to say reallocating the Stone Trust funds and not put an amount on that in case we've had bills come out since this was written out of it. So just
Okay, sure.
reallocate the whole amount of the Stone Trust.
So the entire amount of the Stone Trust Fund.
And you're gonna
Second
second.
again?
Any other discussion? No, we can vote?
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tetman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Alby.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, you have approved reallocating the Stone Trust funds to the library renovation project fund.
All right, I think at this point, let's just go back up to the top and start with your report, Matt.
Okay, the manager report for 19 November. At the 15 October select board meeting, I was asked to look into traffic on Route 26, from Poland Corner to past, PCS. We've got a report from ASO on traffic. We talked, say, hey, look, it gets grid bound north and southbound when people are turning into and out of Poland Provisions and the town office. He wasn't aware of any crashes and speeding in the area. He said it's less significant than other areas. When he's talking about, I will have the sign moved, that's the radar speed sign. that I asked him to put there. And he says traffic always looks faster as it's coming over a knoll. I went out and I measured the road, the Route 26 from White Oak Hill to Brown Road. It's not wide enough to accommodate a turning lane, and our deputy was thinking that might be a possible solution. I got a hold of DOT, and they pulled the crash data from Aggregate Road all the way up to Brown Road. And for the past 5 years, there's been 25 accidents in that area. 16 of those are at the intersection of Route 26 and
In aggregate.
Aggregate, yeah. Pardon me, 16 of those accidents are the intersection of Route 26 and Aggregate, which is 11, White Oak Hill, which was 4, and Brown Road, which was 1. And the remainder occurred from, oh gosh, I lost my spot there, from White Oak Hill to Aggregate Road, which is where the turning lane is. And I didn't have, I asked for a very quick accident report, so I didn't get the exact location of where these were. But 25 over 5 years is really not that bad. It said that doesn't even come close to tripping their criteria to do something there. The radar sign data, speed sign data, the data showed that speeding is not excessive. Most vehicles are under 35, smaller number in the 35 to 40, and outliers are over 40 miles an hour. And when I got the speed report from the deputy, he said there's a few outliers that show high speed. They could be emergency vehicles or the occasional super speeder, but everyone seems to be behaving for the most part. I also went out a number of times and just looked to see what was going on, and the speed is not that excessive, because what's happening is the fact that people slow down to turn into these businesses and the office cause traffic to slow down, and there's enough sight line that people can see this. And I think that's a good news story. It means we don't have a huge safety issue there. There's been no accidents in that particular part of the Route 26 for 5 years. The doesn't mean that we can't improve it at some point, of course, but wanted to give you that data. And anything that we did do at this stage with signage would be on the town to do. When I asked about that, there's a lot of teeth sucking at DOT there. I don't think we're going to pay for that, Matt. And some of these signs with the lights on them can be a bit pricey, and that's a forever thing. We're going to own that sign for forever. So if we want to do that, I think we want to make sure that maybe it's part of a more comprehensive thing, or that we actually have a serious issue that we're trying to resolve, that we think that'll have an impact.
Sure, thank you for taking the time to collect all that
Yeah,
data.
yeah.
I saw
No problem.
I saw the radar sign, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're checking this out, and thank you
Yeah,
for
no,
taking that
I'm
seriously.
glad, we're glad to do it. It's good to know. And
I think since that sign is up, it has slowed down, to be honest with you. I've been going through here a lot lately.
yeah, that's a good point.
It has.
When we took the wheeled sign off of Route 26, we needed to do a little bit of repair work on that after sitting out there for that long. We'll get it back out at another location, but just coming down that hill, which I go by every day going to work, when you see the speed sign, it just reminds you to slow down. So we're gonna leave this thing up there for a while longer.
Yeah, I think it's working.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was at, and, maybe we should or could inform that as we get going and get the library and the municipal thing, and then you got people across the way, just, the whole safety factor of, we got the crosswalks, we got the lighted crosswalks, we've got a topic of another crosswalk further down the road to talk about the
Yeah, I
safety
think
and stuff.
we'll take a look at more suitable mounting method.
Sure, well, and then you've got two directions, right, to deal with.
Yeah, we're only looking south right now.
Exactly.
And that was, I think that was where the concern was coming from,
Right.
was that area. Yeah, so we'll Okay, so, pardon me. The Auburn Lewiston Airport had attended ribbon cutting for self-serve aviation fuel, which is a big deal. We reviewed and approved several real estate actions that will generate revenue, and we authorized a new contract for airport services, which is good. And this is important to Poland because that's a regional economic hub, and having the self-serve fuel capability attracts pilots that can come in after hours and get fuel. There's a courtesy vehicle at the airport they can use to come out and go to various restaurants and things like that in Poland. So it's a good deal. The RSU manager breakfast, Amy has started that back up. We discussed broad overview of upcoming challenge to address the HVAC and boiler issues in the 3 elementary schools. No definitive way for determining yet. We invoiced RSU 16 for $4,316.53 to cover election costs, which they paid. We're grateful for that. We provided a nominee to act as a facilitator for the local share of the school budget, but the RSU chose someone else who seems well qualified. The LA Economic Growth Committee have shared the below with the CEDC chair and put him in contact with the LA Chamber CEO, and he is going to meet with her and discuss these issues. We discussed the development of a new business training event program for new young businesses where they might be able to come in and learn accounting, tax, that kind of stuff. There's a business trade show at the Norway Bank Arena in Auburn on March 27th that CEDC may consider participating in. They're improving a mentorship program that's locals, helping locals. The reason this and the first item are on there is these things are more Portland-centric for some reason, and they're trying to get them more Lewiston Auburn flavor to them. And there's a regional promotion going on, how to market the area that we definitely want to participate in, and that's the big reason why I asked the CEDC chair if he would want to meet with the LA Chamber CEO, because that could be a big help for everybody. Maine Waste to Energy, we discussed applying for CDS funds to pay for various improvements, reviewed recent maintenance actions to repair the steam turbine and generator. Pardon me.
It's dry in here. It's very dry in here, yeah.
So, line striping, Lewiston Junction, should read, Johnson Hill and Rang Hill Road are done. In the PCS third grade, we gave a presentation on state and local government to them, which we've been doing annually for the past couple of years. The old schoolhouse, we're painting that, but work is stopped for the season, but a lot was accomplished. Most of the south side was painted. Repairs were made to one corner that set painting back a bit. We had to replace the clapboard and then some of the interior framing work that had some rot on it. The bell tower was repaired, basically rebuilt and painted as well. Remaining work will be completed next spring, and our buildings and ground supervisor, Joe Davis, and with some help from Scott Siegel, were instrumental in making that happen. He had to get lead paint certified to do it, so we were following the rules, and he's done a great job. The library conference room is complete except for some punch list items that's being used for meetings now, and I encourage everybody to get out and take a look. We're pretty happy with the way it turned out. The library committee, I attended the first meeting, brief group on the library expansion way forward, and was grateful to see so many of them here tonight. The MMA Legislative Policy Committee, we're refining legislative priorities and expect to have a more firm list after the November meeting, which is tomorrow. Items discussed include property tax reform, increased homestead exemption, jail funding, go to 100% from the state, full state funding for special education, and eliminating unfunded mandates. That last one has proven to be a bit harder nut to crack, just because it's going to be a constitutional amendment. So it may not be this legislative section, but there's a lot of interest to do that. Let's see, MMA Executive Committee. How many legal is gonna draft an amicus? Even the lawyer doesn't know how to say this. Amicus or amicus, brief to support state statute in the case that involves a challenge brought by Consolidated Communication to an order issued by the Maine Public Utilities Commission requiring Consolidated to comply with state statute, the so-called municipal exemption, which exempts municipalities from paying make-ready costs associated with the attachment of municipal infrastructure to privately owned poles in certain circumstances, which is broadband. So I think they'll be successful there because the state statute is pretty clear.
Town of Somerville went through a lawsuit.
Yep,
Yeah,
that is the one they're
yeah,
supporting.
that got some national attention,
Mhm.
actually.
We reviewed and approved the audit, approved some personnel policy updates, reviewed proposed budget, authorized new software contract for web-based applications, and reviewed and approved investment allocation. Sand Week, Poland Works, Public Works sand shed is filled. And if you look in front of the library, we've started installation of the stormwater drain at the library. So that's gonna occur in phases. We've done step one, which is connect to the DOT storm drain and come out maybe 10 feet to a catch basin. Now from the catch basin, we're coming up toward the ice rink. That piping is in there, and we're just filling in the trench that was dug. Then we go back toward the park with some more piping run, where we'll have a drainage swale go across the dirt road, and we'll have a drainage swale that is gonna be kind of parallel with the parking lot where the existing tree is, and there'll be a catch basin farther up the hill. And with another catch basin at the end, far corner of the library parking lot. The goal is to get as much of this done as we can before the weather precludes any more activity, because we want to make sure that it works. And it's also a big safety issue for folks coming in and out of the library, because as you might recall, the back corner of the library parking lot gets some water in it, and in the winter it freezes, and for our elderly patrons, it's a bit of a struggle sometimes to get in. But that's a good news story, and our Public Works crew is doing a great job out there. Really, really happy with that. And pending any questions, that's the manager report.
The only comment I was gonna have was that I attempted last week to see the library conference room, but we had access, as a Conservation Commission had access to the library, but not the room. And the conference room was locked. So
As it should be.
Scott sent me a picture after of the room.
Yeah,
And
so
so-
it is locked because we've got some items there that we don't want to, migrate out of the room. Like the remote for the TV, we'll have there's a keyboard for that as well. There's a Keurig coffee machine in there, a dry erase board, and we're gonna put the Friends of the Library are donating an electric fireplace, so that'll be in there with a nice comfortable chair. There'll be some heat pumps in there to make sure that it's warm, that are part of the library design that we just put out to bid. But that's why it's locked.
Yeah, the room is nice. I was there to play cribbage Friday, and we played in the basement, and that room was open. He did a nice job. He just had one part that he still had to paint.
Yeah.
There was still a little work on the wallboard that he had to do.
You say bingo?
Cribbage.
All right, let's move on to financials.
We're 40.38% through the year. Doing pretty good. The one thing on the revenue side, our auditor recommended we change the way we portray ambulance fees. That's line 4150 through 4154, really. The first two lines are ones that you'll be familiar with: ambulance service fees and ambulance from Mechanic Falls. The other two are ambulance contract with I forget W with
With or
Those are
without?
ambulance contractual write-offs from
write-offs, yeah, that's it.
from the insurance companies that we
Yeah.
can't collect.
Yeah, so we had to show that as not as an expense, but as a loss of revenue. And so that's a good thing because we're able to scrutinize this more. And then the Thomas agency payments are things that we're getting from the Thomas agency. On the expense side of the house, we're doing fine here. And I'm just gonna go off the expense summary here. Everything's looking good. You see community services at 54.19, but if you look down, why is it that high? We've got we've made the full transfer to the library, so that drives that high. Everything else is okay. Beach maintenance is at just under 70%, but we're done with that this year. Public Works and Solid Waste are well below budget right now. Public Safety is just on that glide slope, but Fire Rescue is below it. Law Enforcement is almost 49, but that's due to the timing of contractual payments. And then Animal Control and Streetlights are up just slightly above the target amount, but that's due to contractual payments for animal control and just the timing of payments for Streetlight. The financial services, really the thing that's driving that is the RSU 16 payment. And subject to questions, that's the financial report.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the financial reports as presented.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, John. Yeah, I know that this last weekend they were, Marvin was working even harder than usual because he was short some people. We had one person out sick, but one of the full-time people was out sick, I think.
Yeah, he's still sick, but we've hired the part-timer, and he's there working. We're hopeful to see our full-time employee get better soon and back on the job. He's a good guy.
Yeah. All right, we can vote.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tettenman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Alby.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, you have approved the financial reports as presented.
So I believe at this point, we are now on page 76 in the packet, the generator grant acceptance.
We're getting there.
So this is just a formality to accept the grant money, correct? So I'll entertain
Yeah,
a motion to that effect.
No, you don't just get those.
What's that?
Department reports.
Oh, I'll go back. So it was a 41,400 amount, of which we did a match of $13,800 to close the whole thing out. So we just need to have a motion to accept the 41,400, right?
I make the motion that we accept the grant for the generator in the amount of $41,400.
Second.
Second. Thank you. No other discussion, we can vote?
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tettenman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Alby.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have accepted the hazard mitigation grant from Maine Emergency Agency in the amount of $41,400 to purchase and install an emergency generator for the town office.
So I did, in moving around here this evening or whatever, the department reports beginning on page 49. So we have the Androscoggin County Sheriff's Office. Any questions or comments? Poland Fire Rescue continues to be a busy place. I know they had the fire this last weekend down at Mount Lawn.
And one of the things that I've read in the paper that happened with that is when the building burned, that a fire started in some brush. But fortunately, I saw in the paper, there were 4 or 5 departments that came over and they got that under control.
Yeah, there was a lot over there.
So dry.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been a real serious problem if that happened.
And then we have the Department of Planning and Community Development. They continue to be busy. Scroll by all of that. And Public Works, like you've already noted, they've been busy putting things away, plus their normal routine and stuff.
Saw that we're hiring, but
Yes.
is that to replace, is that a new
There was,
position or
I
replace?
mentioned that position's been open for a little bit. We thought we had someone today, but that didn't work out, so we're continuing to look. But Adam's pretty particular about the folks that he hires. He wants someone that's gonna work out, and I'm sure we'll find one soon.
So any of these things are including the thing, we don't have a competition of money issue or anything that we're not getting people because of what we
Not-
pay or?
Not yet. We're getting close. At a near point, we're gonna have to look at our wage scale again, make sure that that's competitive. But we're,
Lewiston's having the same issue. I think they have 8 public work positions open right now. So I think it's just a lack of people who hold the certifications and stuff that
Yeah.
are needed to
Yeah.
run the trucks and stuff.
yeah, that's one position that's completely transferable. You can work for another municipality, a private firm. It's,
Well, the Parks and Recreation Department, really busy. I know that Scott was at the conservation things and stuff. He just does a great job of looping together all of the related peoples and whatever. Many of the trails that have new markers to replace the markers that you need on the walking trails and whatever. And stuff, as well as they're formulating a plan to try to get some walkways in place, and they're gonna be going after some grant money. So it's kind of a conservation thing that I'm talking about, but they're looking at that and getting some quotes. That won't be insignificant. Then we get to the library. Always seems to be cars parked behind the library every time I drive by.
it's pretty
Pretty much
busy.
7 days a week.
Yeah, it's, a lot more goes on there than people really realize.
Anything else from anybody in the department reports? If not, we can move down to the high school Dollar General crosswalk. I was gonna,
USU 16 SRO is proposed installing a crosswalk
Page 87.
at an appropriate location between the high school and the Dollar General located on Route 26. The SRO states there are safety concerns with students crossing Route 26 in that vicinity. The DOT crosswalk guidelines state that the town has approval authority and also provide direction on the manner crosswalks must be constructed. The RSU 16 operations manager approves, I'm pretty sure Amy approves as well, but I didn't hear directly from her. RSU 16 will be responsible for any additional costs to include maintenance and winter plowing. And the reason that, you know, I talked to Steve a week or so ago about this, after I'd seen the SRO in the parking lot, and she had been working with the RSU administration folks for about a couple of weeks, and because they cut their budget, they are struggling to find some funding for this crosswalk. She showed me a video of kids walking on the side of a road. This is no snow, and I thought, wait a minute, when are these kids gonna get picked off? And so had to think, and Nikki and I talked about it and figured, well, here's a source of funding that we could use to help this particular project, and would propose that we pay for 50% or $7,500 of the actual crosswalk itself, which is be the lights and then, the push button pole that we have, and that RSU 16 pays the other half. There's probably gonna be some associated costs with that, because you have to have a place, not only the land, but they have to have a place to go, which would mean a short section of crosswalk that they could put in relatively cheaply, I think. So that kids can get across the street, you can plow that bit of sidewalk, and then they can duck into the Dollar General parking lot. Whenever that crosswalk up by McDonald's was put in, you can't use it in the winter. You get across the other side of the street and there's nowhere to go. And, you can shovel off the landing they have, but there's no sidewalk, there's no way for these kids to get beyond that, so they duck around the entranceway, but, after thinking about it, then we don't we wanna try to help them do this project, and the idea is that we tell them, look, if you wanna do it, funding's good to the end of your fiscal year, which is June 30th, and we'll see how we go. I saw John yesterday, John Hawley, the operations manager, and he's working pretty hard to pull this thing off.
Can't you just have the school communicate to the kids not to do that? Wouldn't that be cheaper?
Yeah,
You think they're gonna listen?
So the kids,
Well, I
the
mean-
kids used to always use the fields and go to Family Dollar
Yeah,
to get snacks and stuff after school before their practices and stuff, and now because Family Dollar is closed, the place they have to go is Dollar General or to McDonald's and that, and they're just darting across the street there, and someone's gonna get hit, and now that the situation's been identified.
right.
yeah. And would it be easier to tell them, yeah, but they're kids and they have been told and told again, and they're, it's an issue that I think we could help with if the board is willing to authorize that amount of money. We'll see what happens if the school can pull it off.
So this money comes out of the TIF, not out of,
Yeah,
The
tax
taxpayer.
TIF too, and, Nikki has got her finger on the pulse of the TIF funding, so we can afford this relatively small amount, if the board wants to go forward with this idea.
So you're saying they don't have the funding to do it themselves?
Right now, he couldn't find it, so,
This would mean they still have to come up with the other half of it, cause this would only pay for half of it, so in order to do the project, they would still have to come up with, find $7,500 at least on their end.
yeah, and there's probably some other stuff as well, but the idea is, now they have $7,500, it's got a clock, they gotta get it going,
so this is good till June 30th.
yeah.
$100 general would be willing to pitch in.
They might, and I think
I mean,
maybe the school would
Gives
participate.
them business, extra
Yeah.
business.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I guess
But,
that was my thing, when Matt brought it up, I think it's a good idea, I support that we step forward, we've done a lot of work along this corridor, that's just all part of the corridor here for the town. And so I think doing the things, and one of the things that I still have as a concern is, and this helps, we've got the crosswalk at McDonald's, and we've got this one, but unfortunately, whenever people, and I think they were having a all-star thing or whatever it was at the softball field, there's people that park in the undeveloped land before McDonald's and park there and are running across the street. And I witnessed a close call just in the one direction, and when I came back through, they were all over there, they weren't trying to make the cross at that point. But, I think that whole area, and I think the only thing that I could suggest personally right now is that when we have businesses, and we have businesses actually take on that, we should have a requirement to those businesses to step forward with sidewalks / whatever, so that, people can get across, and do some of the things. And it'd be great if we could get some in-kind support with the development of businesses to say, yeah, you're gonna put this in, here's, can you do these things? We've got these two crosswalks, can you ultimately get a sidewalk on that other side
Yeah.
of the road?
Mhm.
It would be my personal thought. And I don't know how we can help facilitate that as time goes along and
Well, this-
development happens,
Yeah.
that, okay, maybe the planning board can say, hey, you know, we support this, but can you help us fund the sidewalk on that side and whatever? And I guess my final point, what I was talking is that the RSU is willing to step up and pay for the plowing and be part of that plowing route of the sidewalk to sustain this, I think is also a positive thing, so.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a machine they use to plow the sidewalks that go into the high school and middle school.
I agree, I think ultimately a sidewalk needs to be put over on that side. To be honest with you. Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion. If the board is so willing.
I make a motion that we approve up to 50% of the crosswalk cost, up to $7,500 to be paid from the TIF2 account for this project.
I'll second that.
Any other further discussion? Hearing none?
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tatman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks. Lisa
Yes.
Elvey.
Yes.
By a vote 5-0, you have approved the expenditure of up to $7,500 from TIF2 for a crosswalk from the high school property across to Dollar General.
So I guess we get to move on to payables, of which we actually have two. And I can give you them here if you want, Stan.
Yeah, I make the motion that we pay our bills for fiscal year 2025. Need for that date. From November 5th, 2024, in the amount of $912,793.92.
Is there a second?
Second?
John?
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tatman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Elvey.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved the payables for November 5th in the amount of $912,793.92.
And I make a motion that we have to pay our bills for fiscal year 2025 on the warrant dated today, the amount of $985,000, $985,754.79.
Second?
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tatman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Elvey.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved the payables dated November 19th, 2024 in the amount of $985,754.79.
Thank you. Guess we get to go on to any other business, John.
No, I have to make another comment, I think that radar has slowed the traffic down a lot. I really do. So,
Stan?
Nope, just hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving and a safe holiday.
I don't have anything. Mary Ann?
Someone reached out from a local Cub Scout den,
Mm-hmm.
and just asked, I'm not sure if they reached out to anyone
Yeah.
else. Okay, so I actually scheduled some times if anyone is interested. It's Wednesday, February 12th at 6 p.m. And she just wants us to talk generally about sort of local office and why did we run, and is to fulfill a badge requirement.
That's fantastic.
It is.
So
That's great.
I'm excited.
yeah, so at least you got that email. I got
Yeah.
that email today.
Yeah. Okay.
I responded, but I didn't get a response back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lisa?
I do not.
Nothing for me, thanks.
I have just a couple of things. The first thing I have is just wanted to say for those who did not see it on our website and Facebook, we had 3,604 voters vote in the November 5th election, which represents 87.7% of our registered voters here in Poland.
Wow.
So large turnout. It was great to see. We were busy all day long, no issues. It ran really smooth. The other thing that I forgot to put on it is we have a tax acquired property that we tax acquired in 2019. And the law now states in order for us to sell the property, we have to give a 90-day written notice to the people who own the property. We have tried every written notice under our means of sending it to them. And so we just need your authority to, because after this step would be to sell the property. And the attorney would like to write that 90-day notice and get it sent to him so the clock starts rolling, and so 90 days from now, we can put it up from sale if they still haven't worked with us on making the property tax payments.
And because it's tax acquired, we don't have to go to town meeting to get authorization.
Are they still living in it?
They are not, as it is in the estate's name at this point. There is people living on the property though, but it is not them.
Okay,
And we can still sell it with tenants on the property.
okay.
That would be part of the sale agreement when it goes up.
Oh, so there's like these rental, okay, gotcha.
So we'll need a, do we? need
Just a
to-
motion to authorize the attorney to write that 90-day letter to get the clock started.
So moved.
Stan, I'll put you down as second. John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tetman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Elby.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved our attorney writing a letter for a 90-day authorization to sell a tax-acquired property to the owners. And that's all that I have.
The motion that you adjourn.
Thank you, Stan.
I'll second that.
Thank you, John.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tetman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Elby.
Yes.
By a vote 5-0, you have approved adjourning the meeting. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
So we signed those and then these.